It's nearly 2 o'clock, if I'm correct. And I think we promised we share the teaching of yesterday. We're going to a very extremely advanced level of space technology at the plasmatic level, which is understanding of the emotion and the interaction of the emotion and control for what we call universal communication. To a lot of you, this will sound like nonsense, but as you are not educated, we don't expect much. It's for those who will understand how in the space we'll communicate. What is the purpose of our emotion in interaction with what we need, what we would like to have in the space. You got to understand this is at the more or less highest level we have built over a year, 2 years of teaching. We decided to release this that in the coming time, people who will start understanding, like the scientists in Ghana who want to be a part of the Edge of Science and Space Technology, understand what, how we will communicate in space. It's no use getting into space when you can't feed yourself and when you can't communicate. This we have started as we are getting ready. We are on the final stages of showing the full spaceship within the structure of the Keshe Foundation team. How we'll do, how you can feed yourself, but you got to learn how to communicate. So what you hear, I've asked Rick Raman to release yesterday's teaching to the what I call the first year students and the 3-year course, if the back end was done, is something like about 3-4 hours of teaching. You can listen to it or you can leave it, or in the future to go back on it. It is important, it's absolutely important that we manage to transfer this knowledge across for those of you who are on the governmental level testing. I think I give a very clear hint why we are releasing this. Number of space agencies who've been around the foundation have started testing, listening to us in development of their own space technology using maglev system. And if you are ahead of us as you are doing your test, as I call on the blacklist on the background, soon you will come to one of the first things you need to do is contacting or being contacted or being across the contact board and you don't know how to communicate. This is a gift to space agencies and you know exactly who I'm talking to. We are releasing this knowledge for you that if you are ahead of us and you have managed to break through in different ways, you need this to be able to stop any conflict in the space, because your thoughts are read before you come. And Americans usually have a habit of pulling the gun before asking a question. This time they can read your mind. The only loser will be you. So what we're doing, we're releasing this recording of the yesterday's teaching, specifically and partially with the Keshe Foundation supporters who are developing to understand it if they haven't listened to it. Secondly, for the space agencies who are testing, have followed, and they're investing a lot of money in our way of development. We know some 2 organizations are on the verge and they are there, but in being there, when you come, when you open the door, you need to speak. We are teaching the basis of the teaching of the speak, but we do it public. In a way we say, we know what you're up to. Wish you all the best. I'm going to come off the line if you want to start the recording and let it be listened. Those of you who might come back in the future and laugh at it, it shows your lack of understanding of what it is about. But when those students who just joined or they'll join, in the 3rd term you understand exactly what this is about and what it is. This is the blueprint of the space language. Last week we released a blueprint for the spaceship and the structure. Now we start releasing a number of these things for what we call a spaceship program, where we are entering a point that we are about to produce crafts without dimensions, without physicality of the screws and platform what we are used to. the way the skin of the man is created from the fields, the way upper atmospheres of a lot of planets are created without any material but from interaction of fields. Now we are learning the same process. The way we see the surface on the sun is created through the same process. Containment for holding to the plasma. Up to now we produce plasma to release its effect. If you contain the plasma itself will create its own surface. This is what this technology is about. And then you will understand visibility, tangibility. So from now on, when you do such a thing, you should understand how to control it. And now that we release the plasma for it by interaction of itself with the other plasmas to create tangibility, we have entered the true space, age of true deep space travel, without the need for food or water from the planet, because we can produce it through the fields of the source of the plasma of the reactor. In this process, you have to learn. When you come in, you join the family, you open the door, they greet you, you know how to greet. You don't look at it and say, oh, it's delicious, I want to eat it, because before even you think of eating, he's already eaten you or disarmed you. So what we start teaching is the universal language in these teachings of today, and understanding of the characteristic of the emotion in different part of the brain of the man. In the teachings up to now, we always handle the physicality, how we change cancer, how we do this. But if you listen to the teaching of before, now we know the cause sits in the emotional part. And then the interaction of your emotion with another creature emotion, understanding the color and interaction of the emotions will give you the indication, what we call universal language. And this is what the teaching of today is about. It's the blueprint, partial for different aspects, but it ends up with the blueprint for universal language. And those of you who understand will understand that we have opened the door of communication with our family in the universe. This is the first part of it. We go in deeper part. We promised by the spring of this year, as has been promised in all the holy books, we open the door of universe to the man. And this is the first thing. When you are born, you have no language. We don't understand what you want till you start saying mama, papa, and up, and water, and whatever else. This is the language of the universe. The colors of the true thing, of the emotion of the man, and the other creatures that we only love, and there is no war. Let us listen, and maybe we'll learn.
Mr. Keshe, I think this is the morning teaching you're talking about for Wednesday morning.
Yes,
and
yes. And part of the afternoon session, the back end, please.
The afternoon session, I'm not clear on what part that is. I'll have to try to...
it's the last half an hour, 20 minutes of it.
Of the afternoon session after this one?
Yes.
Or was it the afternoon session of the...
That's for the 3-year courses.
Oh, okay, that's why I couldn't find it. Okay, I'll have to try to find that during this play. So I'll play the entire teaching, I assume. It's sort of got a setup to it and so on, and feeds into it. So I think we have to just play the whole thing and let it go. There was a part about the Chinese meeting at the first, and I wanted to know if that was okay to play.
Pardon?
It was
no,
discussed.
Don't play that one, please. Do not play. That's
okay. Well, I'll have to try to get ahead of that. So,
you want me to speak while you're finding it till you're ready?
Yeah, just give me a second.
What is it?
I just need a couple minutes. Yeah.
What is it about?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know this person. I haven't seen anything that, yeah, I'd rather see a presentation that's presented to us beforehand so we know what we're getting into there.
We can do it for the Tuesday afternoon.
Mm-hmm, okay.
Yes, Vince, I think we do this for Tuesday afternoon, if that's okay.
Okay, let me get this movie set up in the background, and you can.
Okay,
It'll
I
just
give
take me
you.
a couple of minutes here, I think.
Okay, when you are ready, give me a shot. I give some more knowledge to add to the knowledge. First of all, what you will see in these teachings is the way we look at the structure of the life in the universe. We do not see arms and legs, but arms and legs are there to carry out the wishes of the emotional part. Emotions do not have arms and legs. Emotions have gravitational magnetic field strength. Very much like Earth has its own gravitational magnetic field strength, and its interaction creates the color of blue of the planet. Where, for example, the interaction of the gravitational magnetic field of the sun creates the golden color we know. But if you put the color of the Earth with sunset of the sun, we see different colors. We see gold, we see red, we see blue, we see yellow, and all. When you stand in front of a sunset and you see all these gorgeous colors, it comes by interaction of different fields of the Earth with the sun in a given angle. The same is with the emotion of the man and interaction with another entity's emotion. When the Earth creates a field and interacts with the sun, we see the white color, but we see the blue of the planet. What happens if our field changes slightly or sun moves in a different angle? The same field is the same, but in a different angle it creates a beautiful red sky just before the sunset. It's the same entity with a different condition of position of the field. In space we do the same. If our color is the same as of the strength, we get the white color. There is no interaction, we don't see anything. I love you, you love me. And if the true love is there, when the two fields are of the same strength, they do not create any residual. It means we are the same. Anger has a different color in respect to joy. When you are happy, it means you are giving. If the other creature is happy, is giving, what does it do? Because you don't see any color, but your emotion is happy in giving, you know he's in the same condition too. So this is the way in universe we communicate. There is no alphabet. It's the interaction of different strength of the plasmatic, gravitational and magnetic. This is how we started teaching in this semester in the final year. But on the other hand, a lot of students in the 3-year course are so advanced that we start partially to teach them the same. So in a way we are getting human race ready in understanding how the rest of the universal family works and communicates. That you don't walk in and you try to shake hand when the people don't shake hand and just bend in front of each other. You find your hand empty in front of nowhere. So this is what teachings are. We are getting human race ready for one nation, one planet, one race. And then if you understand that, we are one race in the universe. So what we set out as one planet, one nation, one race is actually to walk you into one universal community. Are you ready, Rick?
Yes, I've got that lined up here now, I believe.
Okay. Thank you very much for today. I'll go offline. You can let it play.
Mm-hmm.
And add the back end of the 3-year course. Stanley has it in his recording to add to it. Please listen. This actually gives you an insight how we teach in the final courses. We learn from each other, and it's an open table. It's not a lecture that you have to listen and copy. It's adding to the knowledge. This is how we teach. This is how it's taught. And most of the people you see or you hear, they're with the teachers of the future of the foundation in their own nationalities and countries. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this teaching, and it's the first time we have opened part of our private teachings into the public, and I hope it'll be as the same we'll try to do when the sensitive teaching is done, that it affects the whole population of humanity on this planet in respect to universal community. Thank you very much, Rick. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. I'll let people know that there'll be just portions of this. There'll be a plain whiteboard until things get put on the whiteboard later. But that's the way the conversation went. So I'll just start playing it. I'll do a screen share and we'll play that now.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
You're welcome. This is the teaching of the Wednesday, the 2nd. Anyway, we're talking about the emotion. Does the emotion comes out of our amino acid, or does the emotion comes from the interaction of our amino acid? Do we need to standardize emotions? Or whether I feel pain, you feel as joy, another creature in the universe sees it as a threat, and another creature you see as a funny thing happening. Are we all watching the same thing, but in fact, with the perception of what we think, it means that thing to according to our culture. It's very interesting. Now, I'll give you an example. Then you have to understand it. We were sitting with friends and I looked at the table. And he was saying he was in Africa, he went to Kenya. And he said, this is what we see, this is what is seen. And then we were expecting emotion, how we react to it. In the certain tribe of African tribe, when they want to greet you, and when the important man sits in front of them, as important as a chief, or chief respects them to be their guest, they give the chief something like milk. And he plays with the milk in his mouth and he spits it back on the face of the guest. And everybody cheers that the chief has respected the guest so highly. And so now it's the same thing as emotions. The man who watches as a man, as a somebody, as a spectator watching this scene, if you're African from the tribe, you rejoice. If you are European and you are, let's say, Asian and the Chinese, you get horribly sick with it. Because now you see something which is not in fact acceptable to our condition. And then you have to put your position in a position of the chief who spat on the guy. And then you have to put yourself to be the guy who received the spitting. And show the emotion, even if it's anger inside you, she will say, thank you very much for spitting at me. We all watching the same scene. We all are witnesses in different angle to the same event. The tribesmen are happy that the chief has accepted the guest and they are rejoicing. The Europeans sitting there going horrified, the boss being spit at, or the president, or whoever it is. The chief who is rejoicing in tradition that he can accept a man equal to him that he spits on him. And then the man who actually receives the spit and he has to clean his face and don't move. If you clean your face, it's an insult. Now put yourself in the middle and try to understand the emotion. But it's the same story if you are part of it It's okay, this is what it is, we have to accept. If you're not part of it, if you don't understand it, if you're on the receiving side, you clap, and the one who got this pattern, you can, just literally give you a fist. But he sits there and expect. What boils inside him? Is it anger? Is it fear? Would the chief, if would not say thank you, in the brain, you could feel it, to say, I can see him getting angry at me, but he's got to sit there. Would it create a war? Would it create a conflict, or would it bring you joy? Now, this is the language of the universe. This is the emotion of the universe. Make the chief a man from planet Zeus. Make the people from the tribe man from planet God knows whatever, Neptune or whatever, and the audience from another continent, but a part of the universe, and the receiver of a part of it. Would we start a war? Or would we hide our emotion? That it's okay, I accept it, and there is no war. There is no conflict, I accept what it is. And now you try to put all these four emotions in a very simple way in the layers of your brain to the same event. Or can you separate the one which is the emotion of fear in line with the emotion of joy and the giving and maybe laughter? As we said, fear is the one which brings control. It means I'm going to hold on to, it's the heaviest. Joy, happy, giving is the outer, is your magnetical. This is a very strange, very easy way to assess the same situation. Many of you have to learn which sits where, and you have to be correct with it. That if you are fear of the situation you're in, you're afraid of it, can you still show I'm happy? But mean that I don't see your physicality, I feel the fear, but I see something else moving on the top. So this means the guy doesn't like it, but he still shows good, that is acceptable. I don't see your face, I have no eyes, but I can feel your emotions. What do you see? It's the same story. How do we separate it? And then make yourself blind, that you don't see nothing but feeling the emotion. I think I always said to people, will be one of the best people to be the people of space, because they have already developed and separated their emotion. They're aware of it. They are more or less in charge of it, because maybe at the beginning of finding out and being blind, if they would have touched a step too far, as falling, they would have cringed and they would have been fearful of falling. But now they've fallen so many times and they miss so many times, oh, this is another one. So, do we become blind to the sight in the space and we start feeling the emotion? And if we get to that stage, and let's say they bring us back on Earth, and we can pass a tree and see, or pass a plant, feel the emotion of plant, I'm sure it's going to eat me. I'm sure it's going to eat me. I'm going to be part of his energy. I'm not there. Then would you see that energy? Would you feel that emotion of the plant not to want to be separated, to be killed? These are parts of understanding. I dig into different pieces to bring different emotions. And then you have to understand where, in respect to you, that emotion comes from. And then if you can do it, you want to land, you come more towards the fear. If you want to fly, you go towards the joy. And if you really want to go zappy, you're going to go into the childhood one, which means I do what I like. But I call the zone of ignorance. If you can do this, what we call non-verbal communication, universal language, will start appearing to you as a second nature. As I said in the teaching yesterday, if you stick to the inertial side, you play the inertial game. If you play the universal game, you play the plasma game. But how do you control emotion? How do you control different levels of emotion? I want to go faster, I get rid of the fear, but I add to the joy, increase, so very free. You can go faster, you can go as fast as you like. Any questions before I lose you again?
You mentioned the what do you call it? The place of ignorance. That's the place. That's the bottom black line beyond fear. Is that the idea?
In a way, when you become ignorance, you connect all the feelings together. When you become ignorant, means nothing matters, so the emotion of the fear, happy, joy, whatever, is all there. This is short circuit. I don't care if I'm happy, I don't care if I'm sad, if I'm afraid, I'm joyful, I'm fearful, I am lovable, whatever. It's a shortcut, it's all the same, doesn't matter, you connect all of them together.
Okay, and the idea that you're putting forth is to make the separations, to deliberately create the separations in order to have the interaction of the fields, in order to create certain effects, let's say.
Yes, I was talking to Caroline, we met we meet a lot of different people in our line. And we were discussing it actually this morning about it. If you understand, your body talks, your body radiates, a non-verbal communication. What I was explaining just now is that your meter, then you decide how and what's going to be strong. If it's going to be towards gravitational end, you're going to sink this way towards the fear, or you're going to go towards the joy and happiness and giving, which is your magnetic one. Your body creates reaction, physical reaction in respect to your emotion. What I was explaining just now is that talking, we met a couple recently that after years of having boys, they had a girl. And we thought that's very cute. But she said we planned it and we got what we wanted. It was well planned. We asked, did you use this? No, we went to America, it didn't work. Did you do that? No, it didn't work. Was it selective genes? No, you can do it naturally. The conversation finished, and then later on, sometimes after, I asked Caroline, did you explain to you how she could have a daughter? Oh, she said, yes, it's naturally done. And explain what I don't know. Oh, she says, the woman explained that certain part of your cycle, your temperature goes high. And 3 days before that, if you find out, if you conceive, it's going to be 100% or more chances of a daughter. And it's very interesting. You just listen to it, so, oh, now I know what I want to do. I'm going to have a daughter. But I wasn't talking about this. I was talking about that few degrees of change in temperature. Is that the emotion that I'm getting ready to reproduce? That if you can create such emotion on a regular basis that it creates a higher temperature in your body, it means you are radiating a lot of things. You're literally a scent box for the ones who are looking for temperature. And in so many ways, if you think of it, the emotion has found a verbal language for itself. So, if we can measure that emotion of the reproduction with the thermometer, oh boys, what have we missed in the culture of man's cycle of understanding of his emotion and his condition, and his literally not only emotion, but his own motion. How did we find out? How come we know about it, but in specific positions, but we don't know enough about it to create a condition in different layers, in different part of the body, that we can lift ourselves? Can we produce the energy that we don't even need to walk? Would we go to the point that if we walk, it'll be just for pleasure? I'm going for a walk to use my feet. I haven't used them for 20 years. I want to know if they're still there moving. We know all the tricks of the life. We know if we can measure with a few tenth of degrees change of temperature, we can guess when the boys are ready for play, that will release an egg. But you ask yourself another question. there's a further extension to this story, how you can have a daughter. The human race, the human body has become perfect at it. If you measure the emotion of yourself in respect to the environment you're in respect to the people who are in charge of the environment you are in charge of, would you be able to produce what you want? Any other question? Any question?
Mr. Keshe, this is Zaizen here.
Oh, welcome back. We haven't seen you for a long time.
Thank you. I just went to warmer climates there for a couple weeks.
Did you forget the suitcase?
You
could have jumped in, huh?
Yeah, I just brought shorts along, yeah. Got a lot of mosquito
Are you
bites.
still on holidays or have we come back on the holiday, from the holidays? You're still on holidays?
If I'm teaching this Friday, if that's what you mean.
No, I just wondered, you just came back, if you just...
Yeah.
How is the emotion of holiday?
Well, it depends it depends what one chooses as a holiday. Some like just being on a beach or whatever, but some like actually doing some research while they're doing it. So, yeah. I just went to meet some friends that I hadn't seen for 8 years. So to do with human behavior and whatnot. So it's nice to go into different cultures. Put it that way. It's very enlightening. Anyways, one of my question you mentioned regarding that emotion can have inertia, and I'd never thought of that before. And so, does that mean fear has more inertia than joy? Is that, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what you're trying to tell me.
Joy comes, okay, inertia, what is inertia? Once joy comes, is it easier for it to disappear than when fear comes? Is fear harder to disappear? Would that be part of inertia? Once it's there, it has a tendency not to go away. Or is it the intensity of the emotion that creates a stronger inertia? There's also, I mean, for me, you know how we have this term called funny bone? You hit my funny bone. Because there's apparently a bone in the body that's funny. Or when you hit it, it becomes an emotion. So, where was I going with that? And there's something to do with how one can change the emotion real quickly, number one. But when the emotion's there, how easy it is to switch emotions, I would call that inertia. Would that be a correct use of the term? is yeah. I guess for a few years I was meditating quite a few hours a day. So in that, I considered it some of it mind training, where I could hold an emotion regardless of any outside circumstances. And it was a really good training, actually. Very good training. So in that way, I would consider meditation, for me anyways, it was quite valuable in, I wouldn't call it controlling emotion, I guess it is, but navigating emotion with a control panel, or so that the emotion is in charge of my control panel.
So how does inertia work into what you're just saying now then?
It's inertia, I guess, could work either way. If I'm in the joy realm, I can. To me, inertia is it has a tendency to stay there, regardless of whatever else happens. So there's inertia there. So the joy keeps going regardless of a quick change in circumstance or whatever.
So did you change it due to your attention on it and so on, or what changed due to where was the inertia there? Does the emotion have the inertia, or is it our attention, our identification with that emotion that gets stuck on it in a way with that inertia?
Actually, that's a really good question. I found how to operate out of the higher field strength, if I can put it that way. So therefore, it's higher field strength than emotional, so therefore it's a lot easier to switch emotions at will. So the higher field strength is always in the center. So in the center of, say, the donut, if we look at the soul, if you want to put a physical shape to it, the soul structure, if it was a donut, and also then corresponding the physical representation of an emotional center in our brain, I would see that also as a donut, or would that be a torus? A donut, a dynamic donut, hole in the center. The hole, I can viscerally feel the hole. So if I put my will, I'm willing to be in that higher field strength. That's part of it. It's the willingness to be there, because it's much more intense. The intensity is strong, so it's getting used to intensity of the field strength. But when while you can never get used to it, it's always know that it's the higher field strength, not the lower one. But anyways, when in that higher field strength, it's almost like a tunneling. Mr. Kish called it a tunneling, or there's almost like a fiber optic cable in there that can be accessed. Maybe that's not the right way to put it, but it's funny. A funny way to put it. So there's things on even like what I'm getting back to. I'm going all over the place here, but the funny bone. We have a word in our language called the funny bone, and sometimes I say to my partner, "You hit my funny bone," because she did something she didn't think was funny, but I totally thought it was very funny. Can my funny bone operate all the time? If so, then I have a control over my funny bone. Therefore, I just have to find the other bones for my fear bone and the other bones of joy. I don't know. I'm just rambling here. If it makes sense, I don't know, but it makes sense to me.
Hey, Zeitzen, this is Denny.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. I haven't heard your voice for a while.
Yeah, you've been out having fun. So, one of the things I'm thinking about is just how easy can I make this? I mean, so if it's so easy that I'm overlooking the easiness of it, because it's been ingrained in me to work things out and make them difficult. Just how easy can I make this is a question that, and I guess part of the easiness is just allow it to happen, let it ooze out of me, and let these things just take place like some kind of a bodily function.
But one doesn't have to be ignorant, though, as is being able to sense that. So it must be a sense that we can develop.
It could be very well. It's just like I feel like I have to go to the bathroom. I sense that.
That's what's always intrigued me as guys. I don't know what it is for women, but if I'm around a waterfall, or even if I turn the tap on, suddenly I've got to empty my bladder, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, I used that trick on my grandson.
Yeah, exactly. So, so right there, what is that? I every time it happens, I'm always surprised. What is that?
Well, that's an emotional strength that just happens that quickly and that easily. So, in other words, there's got to be little tells that'll get us this aware of the differences in our strength. Now, we were talking about the emotional center, and you were trying to put a torus and a donut. Well, and we do know I can't even think of those the two halves of the centers. There's two halves. There's the you can tell me because I can't think of it right now. But they're the emotional centers.
Two halves of the brain, you mean, or what?
No, the two halves of that the thalamus, the thalmi, and so then you have a strength from one thalmi to the other thalmi, and so that's what will give you the ease in it happening. And so if you can, just like you can sense that you're going to make your left bicep bulge or your right bicep bulge, you should be able to do something similar with the thalmi. Some easy little trick that you know where, and it although it's emotion. And now I'm going to step out for a minute so that I can give a chance to think on this. and I'll let you go back to your thinking. But the thing that I wanted to impress upon us is how easy it just might be.
Thank you for that. That's if I can carry on here for a bit. I would say it's the development of the will and the willingness to go there. Those were very paramount in my self-training in my meditation. So I think that's a very like we have very strong wills, stronger than our physicality, stronger than our emotion. So where does that will reside? I'm not sure about that, but what I do know is it's a high field strength. If one brings the higher field strength to it, if that makes sense.
So it seems like you're talking about what we could say a voluntary, you're voluntarizing or making it something conscious, which may not have been voluntary and conscious beforehand in a way. Like, where does that willingness and that will come from? It's probably not from the physicality, because the physicality sort of normally runs the show, or has its needs and wants and so on, so it needs to be fed in its own way. But I think that voluntary, that willingness comes from a different place, from, let's say, essence or spiritual place. And when that gets activated, it's much stronger. It's from the principality strength rather than something that's more illusionary from the edges of the creation, let's say. So it seems like voluntariness, or like reinitiating one's will from moment to moment even, is important in order to bring everything into the present and into the voluntary and into the conscious realm.
Yes, I love that, Rick. Reinitiating one's will. That's totally explains it. That's brilliant.
And it has to be on a moment-to-moment basis. Otherwise, it was something in the past which is not relevant in the moment. In other words, something that was initiated in the past does not necessarily carry through from moment to moment if you get into that moment-to-moment space, which has to be actually recreated from moment to moment. And therefore, that's one of the jobs of being a creator, is trying to keep remembering that willingness, and remembering all your parts from moment to moment, because it's a moment-to-moment job.
It could act like a reflex. It could act like a reflex.
The funny bone is a reflex.
Sorry, guys.
Initiating one's will, maybe that's how one can overcome inertia, and I see the inertia as being the could be called the pre-programmed matrix that we agree to, so it runs on automatic.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Stefano. Hi. I think because some night ago I was talking about this with a friend of mine, and we understood maybe one thing very simple, which is I put you a little bit physical, but if I do like this, you recognize this is a clapping of the hands, right? While if I whistle like this, you recognize it is a whistle.
Yeah, but how do you whistle?
Okay, this is because with our brain we manage to recognize collect the data and compare the different things. You can even distinguish with your eyes a pen from a fork or a spoon. This is because we collected the data, we compare between the data what was what, and we define that that particular thing is this. Okay.
Yes, but okay.
This is,
Let's say.
this, sorry, Mr. Cash. Go ahead, please.
Put it this way: what is a spoon to you? It might be a fork to me.
Yeah, yes, but what
Well,
was
let's take it a step further. Let's take it a step further. You have to remember, and I touched it yesterday, the biggest radar to judge an information is your skin. The skin of the face detects different things. The skin of a hand detects different emotion. The skin of the foot has different emotion. We don't feel exactly the same, our own skin to be everywhere the same. Do we use our right hand for emotion of the laughter? And we measure our fear with the tip of our fingers on the left side, because it's your gravitational, it's the side you take energy in. Do we go into the point of understanding from our skin our emotion? Then would it be the same or easier way to understand this is what it is? This is how I show. This is why I started this discussion. Would we become blind and only see how the interaction of the motion with the physical structure creates what color on the skin? That we recognize this is fear, this is joy. Do we extend the knowledge to understanding of what we receive from our skin? If I receive this field from such an entity and I absorb it, it's like a wind. I know it's a cold wind, is a fear wind, is it what? Try to look at all the angles of what it is and how till you get to the point inside you that you can recognize it directly in the brain. Do we go to the point of releasing an energy and seeing what other people feel? Keep your face very straight and send a message of I love you, which is the joy of giving. I'm not expecting any back. See if they all raise their head and smile at you. Or you see somebody frown at you, I love somebody else, I don't need yours. Remember in the teaching last term, we spoke about with your thoughts moving things. Now sit in front of each other, sit in front of a bird, sit in front of a dog, sit in front of your child, and try to find out I want to tickle you. I want to reach and touch you, but don't do just see if the person fringes, just juggles up or the dog moves a step further. I don't want to be touched. Or you can tell your child, just come to me, I love you. No word, it's just a feeling of, I want to receive something that I can give you. And you see the child comes to you. This is how you're going to control your reactors. This is why we speak about this. That's why it's part of the teaching. Because now your antenna is your brain, and you decide, I want to go left, it's a bit too much, I want to see uncle on that planet, so that's where I want to go. But is that uncle on the planet waiting for you? Or you have received, uncle wants to see you, and you go. Man in a space will be so busy traveling that doesn't know even what time of the day it is. What do we read in the signature of our fields and emotions? You see, I don't teach you this is the line, this is what the emotion is. I leave it open to you, because that emotion can be different between all of you, but you all feel the same. I stay silent. It's nice when I stay silent, I listen to all of you, what you think.
In fact, I think that the main job would be to recognize inside ourselves by our own, in the exact moment where we find an emotion, to recognize it and compare it with another. And so we can build up a lot of data of ourselves inside ourselves. And then after this, we can even recognize the same thing even outside ourselves. So it's like recognizing a fork from a spoon. But because you know the exact, I don't know if I can tell about the shape inside ourselves of that emotion, then we even recognize it if it is around us in any other person. At least I am collecting I'm building up my database of emotions in this way. Just paying attention at my feeling the moment when I feel it, and then comparing it with the other which I had, and even in trying to put that feelings out in a proper manner for an outcome I would like to have in the surrounding, let's say.
And about that, we talked about the way you greet everyone in the online teachings here. Every time you come in, you enthusiastically say, hello, or
I think that is a good base. Actually, I think the good base is the peace of mind. From there you can build up, because and if you aren't able to stay quiet with your mind and with your feelings, you can even analyze any kind of thought or emotion is passing through you. While in the moment you achieve an inner peace, an inner quietness, it's very much easier to put your attention on the right spot, let's say.
And how does the enthusiasm, the emotion of enthusiasm, or one might say joy, tie into that?
To me, it's because I am accustomed to it in some way. So I know what it is. So when I want it, I do.
Does that come from, first of all,
It's experience.
yeah, it's the baseline of peace of mind first?
It's like I was telling you before. It's like when you collect a lot of data about yourself and about your feelings. It's because during our life we don't pay attention to our feelings, to our emotions. But
yeah, but that's you. What about the rest with respect to that emotion? It might be anger to you, but joy to us. Why you get angry and the rest of they laugh?
This is I never considered. Wait, but I don't understand what you mean when you say anger to me.
You see, you fall, you get angry, you drop something, but to the others, it's to you is anger, but the same thing is joy to the others. They laugh. Look at him, he missed the step.
Or someone that's laughing and you think, geez, how could they laugh? I'm having such a rough time. Everything. How could someone possibly be laughing at me, obviously, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, but this is a subjective point of view. But I'm trying
to understand. That's
okay. Let's put a measure to it. Let's take it a step further. We all buy a distilled water. Distilled water is distilled. Doesn't matter where it means. It's nothing but just water. A lot of you have seen these machines which they put on. If the frequency is love, it will make the sign of love a heart. If it's whatever, the water will give you the emotion of how that frequency is. Yeah? Now, all of us, all of you in this team, get yourself a clean glass of water and a bottle of distilled water from the supermarket, which is clean, there's nothing in it. And all of you sit and watch and try to see what your emotion makes in the water. Does it make us, I love that one. The cup will make a love sign, heart sign. And then go to the book and get the book. Says this is it. When you see the water is this shape, it means anger or whatever. Shall we all buy a standard book that we feel this is my emotion, but everybody reads this is the love, and the other one you make your love with the same cup, and if it goes there, now we know this is the emotion. Shall we carry a cup with us everywhere? For us to measure our emotion and feelings as which we send out?
Well, they actually have that now in terms of what they used to call it the mood ring, and now they have mood amulets, and they're more improved than they were in the 1960s and 70s and so on, where this gem-like thing will change color supposedly according to your mood. It might be more dependent on body temperature, actually, but what they call it mood. So it could have a broad range of colors supposedly depending on your mood. And you would show your mood by wearing this jewelry.
Oh, I feel lovable. Can you look at my, what do you call it, my mood button or whatever it's called?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm blind. What am I going to see it then?
Well, you'd have to have a Braille mood ring then.
So we do know that oxygen has magnetic properties. and that's most of what water is made out of. So if I correlated that with the mind, if the mind has magnetical properties, or the brain, if I want to put it that way, or the field around the brain, then it can be, how should I say, I find personally, I find the higher field strength in the center, and the way I access that is by calming the mind, peace of mind, which basically is like the turbulence is down enough so that the water becomes still, the water being the field, and that point then is the will and the willingness to affect the whole field by my will. So it still comes down to the will.
What about, wait. What about four of us sitting around the same cup and trying to do the same thing? What would it be with the water? We must be boiling up and down. One is feeling angry, the other one is happy, and they think, what's going to happen to the water?
Okay, then there's also the will or willingness to join with other minds. If you want to put co-pilot, so there's a joint willingness. That's been a big challenge.
Let me explain to you something. Wait. This is not. I'm taking you somewhere. I know where I'm taking you, but I just, as usual, try to get you to walk on the plank than me doing it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So now, what about if now before you go to space, you get trained for years, you go in this pool, they put you in the suit, they do everything else. What about we create a cup or a water that we make a standard for it? This is the how, is the language of the universe. A is when you can get this water looking like this. B is when you get this signs from the glass of water. C is when you get this shape, the water waves this way. And happiness is this. I don't eat you is this. Shall we make a vocabulary of the emotion compared to the water? Because the water shows us. But I tell you something else. We teach, we think, we work with the space technology. Water is the attribute of Earth. Our brain is not the water. Our brain is a Gans state. What about we create a cup of CO2? And our brain is based on the CO2. Add a touch of zinc oxide into it as a Gans. It's a copy of your brain, more or less. What about if we make this as a standard for people before go to space, understand their own emotion, and we say these are the standards for being happy. I'm giving, I'm taking, I like to give. This is the speed of the rotation of the Gans in the cup. This is the how you give energy and the Gans expand in the cup and you get to this size. It means you're very giving, you're lovable, you're love. Or would this in the space measure us in respect to that cup, that this is when a man gets a Gans to this level, it means he loves. So the language is this. So we create a Gans universal gravitational magnetic field language. You see where I'm taking you? Trying to teach you the language of the universe through the fields, the way the universe operates. There is no A, there is no B. It's the field strength which you understand as understood. We don't carry a vocabulary of dictionaries with us. We carry a vocabulary of emotion in the field, the strength of giving and taking. This is why I brought it public teaching in the level of the layers of the brain of the man. Do we start classes? Do we start a procedure with ourselves where we start learning the language of universe? Does your emotion, which becomes like a son, we just give? When they see the man, they say, look, he's a giver, he's kind, he's love, he's in love with the universe. This is where I'm taking you slowly, slowly, to teach you the language of the universe. Then, the way you give dictates, I'm prepared to receive so much, but I don't need. But I'm giving this which I don't need. Maybe he likes. You don't speak a word, you give your emotion. Your emotion in space is the language of the universe. There are no A, B's and C's. Inside us, as a race, as a human, we feel the fear of the end. And collectively, with what is about to happen, even though we don't see it, we feel it, we are emitting the sign that collectively as a race, this be the ants, the cows, the chicken, the cosmos, the birds and everything else, that collectively we feel the energy we are receiving is increasing at the level that we know we cannot sustain. So collectively we are radiating a field which in the universal language is a SOS. And do we have the creatures of the universe on the standby? That when it comes, we go in, but don't forget that our thing is coming. Then would be so receptive that we see in space another race is getting to that what I call boiling point. That we go and do the same to help not the physicality, but to help to release the soul. Or take the soul somewhere, it's just like a child, putting it somewhere safe. I'm taking you to the universal orphanage, let's say. This is where we're going to. Not for you to get interrupt the same as before with the right hand coil and left hand coils and up down coils and turn it this way and different wires. No. The whole purpose of bringing these emotional layers and levels and whatever is what we always thought. The language of the universe. Non-verbal. Universe works through interaction of the field in all dimensions, which is a GANs. Now you see where you're going. Now you see the step by step. Soon a large number of people will start creating the system of the lift or gravitational magnetic positioning, because you don't lift in the space anymore, you just move from one place to another. Lifting is respect to the earth. In a space, where are you lifting to? You're always forever in motion. And when you are travels of the universe, it's like when you go from Italy to France to Germany, you go further to Spain. In the universe, the same, we come across different languages, different cultures, different entities. But does your entity change? Or when you smile, everybody smiles. On earth, we know moving your lips to the side means I'm happy, so we call it a smile. Is there a language of smile in the universe? I'm happy. And is that language in the amount of the field you release? Do we see how much comes in and how much goes out? The more goes out, the more goes, you take one in but you give four, it means the guy is a happy guy, he's a giver. I can't do anything because he gives so much that it doesn't let me come close. But only he takes from these fields and he gives only those fields. So it means his food is this, so I have a little bit extra, I give it to him because that field I don't need. I'm walking you in two directions with your emotion. One, trying to start teaching with a universal language. Two, in controlling, in talking, you can do the driving too, in where you want to go with it. When you sit in the car behind the wheel and you got the wheels and the steering and your accelerator, you don't shut up, do you? Just because you concentrate on driving. You're chopping, you're smoking a cigarette, just joke or whatever. Now, in the space, you have the same. One part of your emotion has dictated where you go, and the other side of the emotion is to understand how to communicate.
Mr. Keshe?
Yes.
Tony, Turarakawan, how are you?
Not too bad. I'm getting ready for 8, but I don't know where I'm going to be.
So you started your Hafsin yet?
Not yet. Let's explain. You better explain than me.
Okay. I just want to appreciate.
I'll explain to you what you just said because you just laughed.
Okay.
Let me explain.
Please.
21st of March is the Iranian New Year, which is in about 20 days from now. The tradition in Iran is that we see the beginning of the year 21st of March, which most of the northern hemisphere, Japan, Iran, the whole of Silk Way, celebrate this day because it's the beginning of the spring. Over thousands of years, the Iranians have measured the second when we enter the zone of the spring. We measure it to the second, sometimes falls the beginning of the new year. It's not like European 12 and 12. It takes 365 days, 6 hours and something, or 12 hours and a few seconds, that the Earth comes back to the same position. And we measure it for thousands of years. We are so wise to it. And we sometimes falls in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon. We stay for it, we call it the Salat Tahwil. It means the time of evolution, revolution to the next cycle. And we celebrate it, and we start the celebration days before, from around the 1st of March, 2nd of March, which is today. We plant seeds that by the 21st they grow to shoots, and we call it the Sabzeh. So the beginning of the cycle of the New Year celebration starts from yesterday and today, that we put the seeds out to grow. That sits on the table. Initially, we used to call it She, but now this started with Se, which means we put 7 items. We call it Haft. Sin Haft means 7 things starting with letter S. Sabzeh is one of them, which means the beginning of the life. We give life ready to live. Because today, 1st, 2nd of March is the time when we start getting ready for it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Anything that...
And there are other things we put on the table, and I was just asking, Mr. Akhavan, are you ready for your...
It gives me an excuse to celebrate. Amen.
The Iranians are celebrating. The Iranians, the Zoroastrians, we always celebrate.
Life is too short and is very magnetical because it brings joy. And that brings us to the roundtable discussion that I've been enjoying listening to your teachings. And I just had a little bit of a flashback of what you started this teaching on the 2nd of October 2015, that if you wouldn't mind helping me on your board writing what you mentioned that motivated a lot of people, was we are using matter state, 80% of population dwelling in that. Then we go into the nano state, where 5% of the population of the planet. And then we go to the Gans state, which is about 1% approximately of the population. And then we go into the plasma state, where 0.0001% or 700,000 out of 7 billion people on the planet dwell in that state. But the goal is, as Mr. Keshe mentioned, if I understand it correctly, is to be beyond plasma, where you manipulate the plasma. And that's how you become the pilot of the spaceship that Mr. Keshe is talking about. So to be a pilot, as I was listening to Eisen and Rick conversation, Eisen was talking, you have to, there's a will, as Rick was saying, that is so powerful. Gravitational magnetic field is so powerful, that will, which I call it intention. The human intention, absolutely right, Eisen and Rick. Human intention is so powerful that if we are aware of the human intention, that's the pilot sitting in the spaceship beyond this solar system and these galaxies. So, with your intention, we have to understand, if I understand it correctly, to manipulate the plasma, our intention, let me back up. The way I understand what Mr. Keshe is talking about, from my point of view, is we have to be aware of these different colors in our emotional part of the brain, which starts with fear and ultimate magnetic field is joy. It is all about the gravitational magnetic field that we can manipulate the plasma. So that awareness in this roundtable discussion, that awareness, it's your intention where you want to go. You want to descend or you want to ascend. So knowing that, in order to be that observer, that objective, what Eisen was talking about is for him, he drops to his heart, where he's free of all these things, just being in that center state where he's feeling, he's not thinking. So ultimately he connects to that infinite field of cosmic consciousness, that in the, which is plasma, and being in that resonance automatically pick up joy, which is magnetic. And that is a key that Eisen uses in order to activate the magnetic field regardless of everything else. So that's one way, and that's beautiful, to tap into that plasma, and then with your intention you can take where you want to take the plasma. So that comes from my point of view. We all have seen the human torsion field, the center of it is in the heart. So no matter where we want to go in the universe, we have to understand where we are. So using this physical body, where which includes heart, and the center of the torsion field is heart, it's free of any kind of other, whether it's through skin or the blood, what kind of emotion absorb in our emotional
throw
part.
you a very big stone, Mr. Ahawan.
Please.
I hope you can catch it.
Okay.
In a way, I hope you can understand it. At the moment, we have a digestion system, which is there to convert the energy of the matter to the energy of the body. At the moment, we have lung, which converts the energy of the gaseous level to what we need, which is a faster conversion, which is a huge amount. We eat a very little compared to the amount of energy we take from through our lung. Our lung is breathing 10, 18 times a minute. So much air in. You try to get 2 liters of water into your stomach 18 times a day, and a minute. We on average breathe 10 to 30 times, depending on age or whatever, and we take something 1 to 2 liters of air in. You try to put 1 or 2 liters of just water, forget about the food, 10 times a minute in your stomach. Impossibility. We hardly, this is why my teachings always say, we take 20% from our environment by physical, because the rest comes through the body. Now, the point is, when you learn the way to absorb energy from the environment through your interaction of the emotions of your brain, you lose your mouth and you lose your lung. You have no stomach, you have no digestion system, you have no lung, you have no need for the heart. We don't pump any blood into the head, we pump blood into the environment around for the physical part of the brain. You cut the brain, you cut the emotional part, you don't find a drop of blood in it.
Yes, I appreciate.
Where does go the function of the heart?
Exactly.
The need for the heart.
Yes, as I mentioned, before we start...
Do you understand what I'm talking about? Is there a need for blood circulation?
Yeah, just one moment. I just wanted to clarify. When I go into that state, I don't actually drop into the heart as was described. I actually ascend. I go higher, more towards the soul level, between the emotion and the soul. So it's a higher field strength than the heart.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to explain, in space, our physical structure shall change beyond recognition of what we carry on this planet. That if we come the passengers of space, let's say on the Earth time of 100 years, when we come back, earthly people, we are foreigners, them, we are aliens, because we've gone through the evolution of understanding.
Yes,
Then,
I understand that.
You understand this?
Yes,
so
I understand
we have no heart. We have no need for the heart, because we learn to absorb energy in a different way. Because we are not eating, there is no liver, there is no kidney, there is no intestine.
Exactly, and I understand that
Now
perfectly.
you understand.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
is there a need that we emphasize on a pumping system where there is no pumping needed? Or do we change, let me say, or do we use part of our physical brain? Because when we lose our intestine, when we lose these bits which have no need for the heart and liver, the structure of our brain will change. This is something none of you contemplated on. Let's open the doors.
As a matter of fact, I perfectly understand what you're saying, Mr. Keshe. And I wanted to use...
How do you see, how do you feel with the changes which you're going to receive? And from the beginning, in taking man to space, we pre-plan our own evolution. Because we know the revolution and change of our structure of life will bring evolution. We were victims in the DNA and RNA to evolve to survive. This time we have a choice. We are the decision makers because we ourselves going to decide to create the evolution and revolution.
Which is the pilot, as I was talking about. And I understand what you're saying.
No, Mr. Ahmed. You have to understand, group of you here in this and group of the others who will listen to these teachings in the future. You are the forthcomers. You are the group which will decide, if you understand what is on the table, that this time the evolution is decided by us, because we know what is to come, and this is what we decide the human race in space will look. It's very much, we say, look at the guy who's just come from a village. You know, somebody you see in the city, or we see somebody say, oh, look at him, he's a very affluent man. He's got a culture. Because one came from the village and it trained itself to become affluent. And if you come from somewhere in affluent, you can see the monkeys pretend to be. In our cycle, where we sit now, this moment in this teaching, there are maybe 20, 30 of you. And no one, the rest of the 7 billion, is aware of what is to come. And if it wasn't spoken today, you could never imagine it, there is such a thing. But I put everything to you step by step logically, that you can see. You go to space, you're prepared to go to space. You space, in going you need to learn the language of space, but you know in the space there's no food to eat, so you learn a different way of absorbing your energy to convert your body that you can exist, to sustain your physicality and your soul. So as you can't eat, you don't need mouth. As you can't breathe air, you don't need the lung. So physically you're going to go to evolution. Man will change beyond recognition in the next 12, let's say 100 years. We cannot, when we show the pictures, I can't believe this is the man. When we lose attachment of physicality, some fingers will go, some foot will go, but would we go strong, active, that there is a little brain can supply, because now you have no blood circulation. Now you can transmit immediately, there is no need for nerve system. Now there is no cancer. Now the man become man of the space.
Yes, I appreciate that.
How do you plan to change the structure of the human body that you will change into become the true man of space? In many of my teachings, I always refer to this beautiful woman who I met. She was in her 20s. At age of 5, she wanted to become a harvest. And in 15 years, she managed to make herself tall, long fingers, very long arms, and different posture. If you see her out of the context without the harp, of the evolution by the desire. I want to be a harpist, I'm a little child. The strings are too far, I need a longer finger to reach. Every time I try to reach the last string, my emotion tells me I need a longer arm, so I put energy into it that the arms and the finger can reach that string up the last. My head needs to be high that I can see from the top, I don't get the harp topping up top of me. In next 20 years, man will go beyond evolution in a very rapid way. It's you who has got to decide the change of the evolution. Because once you do, the emotion which you create in the need for the change to survive the space but be a perfect, will transmit through your emotion to the rest of the human race. None of you is ready for it, but this is what's going to happen.
Yes.
So you have to understand, we start teaching very deep in space technology.
And that brings me to the second section of your teaching in October, when you introduce Caroline to teach how to create a plasma ball in the middle of both hands, which again, that's a free plasma. That's what the science of spaceship plasma technology is all about, to create a free plasma, where instead of whether it's a skin or the blood or a nano or GANs, we just go right into plasma. So with the human intention as a pilot of his own spaceship, the intention where we are going, before we have to know where we are going. The way I understand, combining your teaching and Caroline teaching and others who contributed so far in this roundtable discussion. So creating that plasma using our own energy is where we put the intention in the middle of that plasma, that we dictate, we manipulate the plasma through our human intention, which is incredibly powerful. And your left hand, if it's point A, and your right hand is point B, since we are living, this is a little bit of a kick I'm throwing in that Caroline did not cover, but it created a resonance in me to bring this subject up right now in this group discussion. We are living in a vibratory system. Our emotion is a vibration, the light is a vibration, the plasma is a vibration, everything is a vibration. We are living in a vibratory system. So everything is a wave. And with the human intention, when we drop to our heart, because we have to understand where we are before we go where we are going. We know where we are going, but where are we right now? And how do we plan to get there? So we have physicality. We can use it. For me, when I drop to my heart, I'm free of any thoughts. So I use what Caroline taught. Left hand is your gravitational for man. Right hand is magnetic for man. And when you interact this field, you create a plasma ball in the center. So with the intention, this is a little thing kick I'm throwing in. With the intention, since we are in a vibratory system, we are living in a holographic universe, including our skin, our lung, our heart, everything around us is holographic. So with your intention, when you create that plasma ball in the center of both hands, the intention is, how would it feel like to collapse the wave of holographic, whatever it is, fear, anything. It's a shortcut. It's a backdoor. Rather than analyzing which color is which, you just collapse the wave. Put the intention. How would it, and who are you asking? You're asking the plasma, which is the infinite possibilities in the universe. Everything was created out of the plasma. As consciousness, as intelligence. You ask it. That's how you manipulate the plasma. You create that plasma ball, and then you ask it, how would it feel like to collapse the wave now? And let the plasma answer. And everything will collapse. Fear, anything. So that's where we start. It's a level ground. Now, we go back to our intention. Where do we want to go? The pilot comes in. So you want magnetic? You activate the magnetic and joy. How would it feel like to feel absolute peacefulness and joy starting now? Put it in the plasma, the intention. and let the plasma create that. And here it is. Your left hand is pointing.
No, stop, Mr. Ahmed. I'll take you a step further. You missed the biggest point of the teaching, and that's one of the reasons I brought Caroline. You brought to talk something, now you brought yourself hanging yourself with it. You're good at it, so I use sometimes your own ways to bring in new ways in. So you brought the rope, I give you the rope. See how far you want to hang yourselves, all of you. You put the head, you put your two hands out and you created the plasma. When we say the plasma, what we see as a GANs is a ball which receives and receives. Have you ever thought, I make the plasma to be my soul and move my physicality inside that plasma, and wherever I need to, will manifest myself in the physicality of the dimension I appear in. A lot of you miss this.
That's the intention.
No, that's not the intention. That's the only solution.
I would say it's more of a willingness.
Yeah, and
No,
depend on.
no, it's not a willingness. It's not a willingness. It's the fact of the reality.
Sorry, Mr. Keshe, could you repeat the concept again, please?
It's not a concept. It's something which you have to do in a space. You see a lot of light flying like balls. A lot of you have come across it. A lot of people report they see a flying light bulb in the space. These are the entities which have managed to convert themselves to the plasma of themselves. In a way, the light you see flying is a GANs, where the passenger is inside itself as part of it. In a way, when you create these plasma ball, I taught you how to create it. I especially brought Caroline to show you. Is in a way how you bring your fingers together in it to open it, that becomes your new jacket. And what you emit from it becomes where you want to be. What you are prepared to give and take, in a way you become the sun. Where within, through your emotion, you control the sun. The question is the sun the reality of the jacket of an entity that in radiating manifests itself in everything and human body and the rest of it as part of it? In a way, if you can control this plasma, you create this plasma. It's like the clothes you cut and wear and you sew and you put on it. Now we go to the next step. Some of you will understand why you are even here on this table, as you call it. We know the soul. As I said once, hello friends, we know each other a long time. It's nice to meet. But now we speak the language of the man, that the man can do the whole thing. It's just like a bunch of people in the theater. We have rehearsed enough. Now we show the show. If any of you think you're around this table by accident, I tell you good morning. We use the language of the man to teach the man the evolution the man has to put itself through it to reach and become part of the universal society. So let's take it a step further. We came out of the light, we manifested in physicality, and now with creating a ball of light, would we go back into it or inside it with the full knowledge that we don't need anything else, but we can become physicality at any points we like? In a way, instead of sewing a shirt and the trousers, and putting ourselves in it. Now we make a plasma that becomes created out of us, that become part of inside of it. And then with what we emit, with what we receive, we find a balance in the whole of the creation. Is the finger, it's like peeling an apple, or opening a Pandora box, or opening a sweet box. You need 2 hands to open a jacket. Are we creating this plasma ball as a new home, that we can with the finger open and go inside it, that become part of it through the emotion of what we give and what we take. And then we find out with what we give and what we get, and what we prepare to give while we are inside this jacket, we become like the sun and the earth. We find each other's position. If man understands what I just explained, you have entered in a true universal understanding of the condition of the travel and correctness and fairness.
Thank you for reminding us, and we are all remembering. And as you mentioned, there is no coincidence. Everybody's at this roundtable discussion. Good to see you all again. Actually, hearing you all again.
I'm probably here by accident.
We never know. We are accident flying.
So this is kind of interesting, Mr. Keston. So that little ball of light, is there a humanoid in there?
You are the humanoid. You didn't get it?
No, I didn't get it, and I began to follow when I lost my heart and my fingers and everything. I knew I lost part of my brain because I don't have to send a message to that part of my body anymore. So my brain, I don't know, has no need to be as big as it is unless it has some other purpose, unless I need more GANs in my brain. So now I'm becoming, that ball of light is like a soul. And so, and that soul then has all the attributes of becoming whatever it wants to be.
Was it this way? Let's just put it this way. How much are you afraid of losing the physicality? As you know, you become the light.
Well, I guess at my age, I'm probably not too afraid, because if I keep going the way I am, I'll find some other essence to be, because I probably won't be breathing. I'll go the way of my ancestors. I guess the fear is not very much for me anymore.
Could it be said that the evolution is from being verticals and horizontals to being a celestial entity, like a planetary? So then you act as a planetary with a maggrav instead of being earthbound, or so. Then
I want to put it to you in a different way.
Go ahead.
When you look at a cup of GANs with so many elements in it, that it makes the totality, the visuality of what you see. Ask yourself another question. How many beings are inside this each cup, that they are looking at me from inside out and I'm looking from outside in? They laugh at me and they're more mature than me. Are this each individual GANs, which has become a plasma, a being within inside? Go back to the writing of Baha'u'llah. He says even the stone has a soul, but different level of the soul. Even the stone, even a stone which to us the hardest thing, has a soul. Is it our ignorance, as now that we know the atom and the plasma in collection of the state of their motion appear to us to be there, are a living entity, that in fact by going inside we find out the truth about what's happening outside? Muhammad, bless his name, refers to it, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. At the beginning it says, La ilaha illallah, means the unity of being. So it's not just a God, but it's the totality of it. You are part of it. It's how you want to look at it. In other words, if you look at the Christianity, is in the writing of Christ, bless his name, he says, thou shalt not steal. Because when you become a light, you cannot. You're a giver. Have we read the messages the wrong way? And if we read it the right way, would we see the path into the universal community? Is it a hidden code for us, but we are so physical that we didn't see the real code? Have we got too physically entangled in the thing that everything has to be physical for us to see the reality in its condition of the totality of the universe? Do we go back to the word of Zoroaster where it says, Pendarani, Guftarani, Kedarani, means think correct, act correct, and live correct. Pendar, Guftar, talk correct. Or do we talk when we are a plasma? In what language of universe we talk? The code of universal language is in every religion. But the man has only taken his physical part.
And that physical part is a holographic universe that manifesting.
Is it?
You know, whether it's a Gans, whether it's a human body, as there is a being inside that holographic geometrical shape that is so real, it's so strong because of the inertia, whatever we want to call it, from the planet. So when we are aware of all these holographic, by what Caroline shared, creating the plasma ball between the left hand and the right hand, and the left hand and the right hand, by the way, you can put the whole galaxy in it. You can put the planet Earth in it, or you can put just the spot on the body between point A and point B. Anything between these 2 points of the index finger of the left hand and the right hand, when you create a plasma and you drop the intention into the heart and let it go like a pebble in the still water in your heart, and you just get out of the way and you let the ripples go through your body, also through these 2 index finger and anything in between, whether it's a planet Earth or a human body or the galaxy, and collapse it. Collapse that holographic wave. Because inside this holographic wave, whether it is a Gans or a human body, is a being, that soul, that light, the light body. So when we are aware of that, you're already operating in a magnetic vibration, which is love, gratitude, and appreciation and joy. And that's the pilot mindset.
Can I ask you, Rick? Rick, can you do something? Can you take the recording of today and make it as part of the teaching of tomorrow? Maybe we enlighten a lot of people in the truth about what's about to come. We did the blueprint of the spaceship. Now let's make the blueprint of the man in the space.
Mr. Cash.
Yes.
Luigi Terry, how you doing? Are you saying that basically in space there's no rules except love connection to the soul, which is the plasma?
Good morning.
We are all remembering.
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
Why did the Gans join?
It's the easiest way I could get you to see the truth. Don't forget, I've done this many times. I know how to walk the flock. I know how to get the sheep directly into the slaughterhouse and do it themselves. Then it's easy. I don't get blamed for it. You made the ganses. I just showed it to you. You are manipulating it. I just directed you. Are we in the stage of the maturity to accept the totality? I am the creator, but the created have to understand the essence of the creator, otherwise there is no purpose in existing and creating. I made man in the image of myself. Baha'u'llah says, I made you to make children that they may love me. Which means I need to feed myself back. That I can feed myself. Are the children the feedback on these little bits which you make and you connect back to the gravitational, that you create the essence of creation and to create more? You got to understand to move away from physicality.
So anytime we make rules, we're holding to matter state. So we just shouldn't have any rules, because there isn't any.
In the space there isn't any except to give.
Right. Love.
Unconditional. What I told you a few minutes ago, when I met the soul, I said to, hello friends, we haven't seen for a long time. Then I decide where that soul sits. Because a friend, when he comes, you decide where you want to sit, that you can admire the beauty of the friend. You got to realize we are walking into the knowledge of the universe in these teachings. And it needs a lot of openness to understand, because I have put the teaching in a way that every step of it is understood. It's not in the past that I said and it's gotta be. It's the way we understand we want to be. Is in the way that we decide how to be, that collectively our want benefits the rest of the people who are made the same as us through Adam amino acid. Through the condition of the conversion of the plasma of this star in this galaxy. Don't forget, what we are came from the sun, and what the sun came from the galaxy. And where the galaxy came from the star of the universe, of the creation itself. And where the star of the universe came from the creator. So I made man in the image of myself. The whole understanding is how we can manipulate this ball that becomes the new clothing for the man. And this time, if the man understands it, will understand all the stars shine the same. Unconditionally what they give, and not very fussy where it comes, because they know at the end they'll dominate. You see, this goes back to the teaching. You look at the sun continuously radiating, but you don't listen to the other side of the story. We say when we have two plasma, What comes from the exit goes in the entry, but what comes of the exit of the other one enters the other one from its entry. The sun, you see that it radiates all this light out. It's absorbing what is it taking in. It's not a one-way traffic. Just because it's so bright and it shines, obeys the rest of the rules of creation. It has to have a path. Does the sun take the soul of the man to become and radiates out back the soul of the creator? Have we become by part of becoming, wanting to be the soul and the free, because we know we go back in as part of the fields of the created part, which we call it the sun, to be rated equally out, and we sacrifice our souls for it? Where do you think the energy and the fields come to the sun? You think the sun just blows out? Have you become so ignorant to it? What is good for a geese is good for a gander. If you put a two magnet and you see this is from the North Pole, you can show it with the sound. So the south is absorbing something. Where's the south pole of the sun? What feeds this creature? And if he has the full spectrum of the fields, which in the reduction in strength became you, and in non-tangibility of the you becomes detached at the field strength, would we sacrifice ourselves to become part of the creator of ourselves, to be created now is matured? Does the sun only radiate the radiation which we think, or does the sun radiate the soul of the man? Or the created things in this planet, in this universe, in this solar system, that creates balance between all? Is the maturity of the man is due to the maturity of the souls which they leave it, and in the field strength get absorbed back into the sun and radiates equally out? There is no difference between the macro, and there is no difference between micro. They all work on the same principle. It's the intelligence of the man who has to understand the truth. Where are we going? Are we becoming the light which has let itself by itself from inside, that we elevate ourselves to become the part of the structure, that we can travel the other dimensions to become part of that, to be absorbed by the sun of the universe, that we can shine as a creator?
I may add to that, Mr. Keshe. When we dwell in the state of plasma and we create, automatically the resonance creates between our own being or our soul and the plasma soul. What happens, we automatically switch the mindset, automatically, naturally.
You see, Mr. Akhavan, when you become the soul, you don't have a mindset.
Exactly. But what I'm talking
your
about,
mind is set in one way just to give.
I understand. What I'm trying to clarify is what I'm using about mindset is automatically we become a solution-oriented being because we have a resonance with that a cosmic soul, plasma, that is a solution-oriented, doesn't see problems, sees only solution. And with the solution-oriented mindset, if we call it in this dimension, mindset, so we always think magnetically. It's it's inexhaustible. We have connected to that universal battery that Alex made. We are already resonant. We're in resonance with that. Automatically, without any effort, it's effortless in the magnetic field of solutions, infinite world of infinite world of possibilities beyond our own limited consciousness. As creates more resonance with that, we become that.
You know what is written on the head entrance of the United Nations?
پندار نیک، گفتار نیک، کردار نیک.
بنی آدم از
اعضای یک که در آفرینش ز یک گوهرند. چه عضوی به در
translate, then we understand. Then you translate the same words instead of humanity into universality.
So do you want me to go Farsi or English?
Yeah, no problem. In the Farsi, it's a head is the heading when you enter the United
Yes.
States.
بنی آدم اعضای یک پیکرند که در آفرینش ز یک گوهرند. چه عضوی به درد آورد روزگار، دگر عضوها را نماند قرار.
Translated.
Human beings are like a limb of the same bodies. And when a part of the body or a limb starts going through a contraction or
Pain.
The other limbs of the body will feel the pain. If you are a human being who are not aware of other humans' pain or other limbs of the body, you are not deserved to be called human being. Yeah. So when we are in a resonance with the plasma, we feel everything, whether we have eyes, we don't have eyes. We can feel the vibration. And that's being in a plasma state. And if you want to manipulate it, you step out of it. And you do it again with the infinite world of possibilities. Just asking the source, what are the possibilities of collapsing the wave, whatever it is? Whether it's an earthquake, whether it's anything, how about collapsing that wave? Human
Why do you
intention.
think of a collapse when you can use it to build on?
That's where we have to be careful whether it's for the highest good of all concerned or
to judge is a question.
exactly. So that's, you put it in. If it's for the highest good of all concerned, how would it feel like to collapse the wave now? Let the universe decide. I have a limited consciousness compared to the infinite world of possibilities of plasma, universal consciousness, cosmic consciousness. So put an open-ended question to that plasma ball that you just created between your hands, and let the plasma answers how you manipulate the plasma. And since His goodness is giving for the good of all concerned, let the plasma decide. Get out of the way. Once you drop the pebble in that still water of the heart, get out of the way and watch the waves going from your heart, through your hands, through your index fingers, and boom, in the center of that plasma ball.
But you know, you're not going to have a heart in the space because you have no blood, because you have...
As I mentioned, Mr. Kish.
What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with that heart?
Thank you so much. As I mentioned, we have to understand where we are before we go where we are going. So since we are already in this physical body and we are still breathing and eating and drinking water, we may as well use the heart, which is the center of the torsion field of the human being.
But put it this way,
which is plasma.
We are going in a path. We have no choice. Now that we have opened this technology, we have no choice. We know the path.
There is no way back.
There is no way back. There is no way back to Remanence. Huh?
I'm sorry to put that out, but there is no way back.
There is no way. This is the road to universe.
Yes.
How? Now we know. We have opened the door. We are teaching it. We are patient. We take people to make their mistakes, to make their reactor, to make their cores. We play the daft game. It's like sitting in the teacher, watching a child putting a Lego together. But you know the end product is on the plan. You've seen the plan in front of you, but the child is only interested to put one piece to another to get to that plan, to have the bird in the hand.
Exactly. And Mr. Keshe, I want to tell you something here.
We have opened the door. How are we going to get this cat out of the cage?
There is something in Urdu language. They say, Ma'abka tahid dil sih shukur guzar ho. That means, Mr. Keshe, from the bottom of my heart, I'm very grateful and thankful to your presence that you open this knowledge to humanity on the planet, where anybody who's coming from a scientific background or a spiritual background, this is where Mr. Keshe's teaching brings spirituality and science on the table. And depending on whether you are a matter state or a plasma state, but is on the table for you to bring them together, interact them with each other, these two, feel the strength, and recognizing who we are. Self-realization is God-realization. And
but
you
are we part of the Creator? You
we are.
Sentimentality, Mr. Akhavan, doesn't bring us to the reality that we're becoming the passengers of the space. We have opened the door that it cannot be closed. And we have told you so openly that millions of people will come to it. But they have to understand what is the next step. What is the eventuality of this door which we have opened into universal community? Is it to understand what we are about to lose, or are we losing, we are about to enter into universal community? Do we need to stay within the boundary of having the physicality and controlling it because we need to? Or when you become a star like a sun, there is no kings and no rulers, but equality of the light. Who wants to shine more has to give more. And in shining more, we receive more to shine more. So the problem for a lot of human race in the next step, now that we have thought the basics, pieces of Lego are coming together to make the final picture, is for the man collectively to decide that this time around we are in charge of the evolution. Last time around we became from gases into amino acids, and without choice became what we are. But in going back to the plasma of the creation of the origin, this time we have a choice. Do we choose to be thieves and steal, to create a system that becomes suckers of the energies of the universe? Or do we elevate ourselves to the point that we have no need for physicality, that become this more or less a sun which shines unconditionally to give, but we know in giving we receive, and we want to choose the best that we can shine more. This is what I said. The sun, we all have come to accept, it shines all the time. But we forget the other part of the rule which we saw. The plasma receives from entry. What does this plasma of our sun accepts to enter it? Do we become the matter to become the most purified fields of unity, that our wish as a soul is to be absorbed by our own creator, which is the sun, that we can shine and spread what I call the love of the creation across this solar system? And the same way with the galaxies. Have we come for the first time to understand the truth about the essence of the creation for the first time in these teachings?
My answer to that.
Or do we still go to get entangled with the physicality and the plasma and the GANs? Because we know the faster we can solve this problem, the faster we have to enter the dimension of non-physicality, because we don't eat, we have no need for a heart and a lung, and we become all shining star. So this is the process that we have to concentrate in this teaching.
And I believe the answer to that is once, the next step is once on the planet, the human consciousness recognizes that
But
we
it's not
are
the
in a,
human, this time is the ants and the dogs and the cats and the stone have a say in it.
exactly. But once we as human beings, with the powerful intention we have, once we recognize it is a holographic universe, the body, the pain, this, that is all holographic. Once we recognize that, it just becomes the child's game, and it drops, doesn't have any power over this holographic shape, doesn't have any more power over the soul to shadow the soul. Then drops,
Yeah,
and
but
everybody's
now you
done.
become the soul. Your totality of the existence become the soul of the entity of the creation.
Yes, and that's
So-
when the resonance begins, and we are part of all.
So the question comes, we're going to end up the teaching of today. And as I said to Rick, maybe we leave this to be played after the teaching of tomorrow. We add this to the public teaching, because this is the blueprint of the language and the purpose of our presence. Instead of keep it in dark, let it be part of the man understand where is about to go. And those who understand will be enlightened. But the whole purpose is, are we ready this time around to dictate our evolution? Are we resolute enough to understand by evolving we become part of the giving as a totality of the creature or creation on this planet? Are we trying, or can we extend to understand the essence of the creation, that we become the shining stars of the essence of the creation within the stars of the universe? And then there is another question, which I've touched it a few times. Those who never understood, maybe they understand. Out of the stars which you see in the universe, are some of them the star of the souls? Or are the stars of the physicality of existence of the plasma, which is hope to become the star of the soul, where we collectively become one, as one planet, one nation, one race, doesn't matter how you put it? Would we then become a shining star of the soul of the universe? In our part of the universe, then in totality, if we're mature enough, then become the soul of this universe. And if we are mature enough to understand, maybe the universe will come. But the whole essence is, all these purpose of all these teachings about the GANs, about nanomaterials, about all this, is to detach the man to understand the truth. And then knowing by understanding this, the way I always connect the GANs to the body of the man is a full of GANs. And understanding now that he can concentrate his own energy to become a plasma of itself and make a new clothing for itself, to become part of the structure of the universe, where the language is giving and not taking, does not matter whatever comes. So is the man ready to take this step as a total race? As one race, that when the sun shines, it shines bright and beautiful. Doesn't matter which end of the sun you're looking at. There are no black spots on it that there is somebody hanging on it as a dry piece. It's all the same. Is our ultimate goal to become the star of the universe by shining to give unconditionally? Have we matured enough to dictate as a race our own destiny, this time our own evolution, to become the sole part of a star of a universe? Or are we so materialistic attached that we want to be still matter state? This is where these teachings I'm taking you to. Then you can decide which way you want to go. But I have to use the tricks of the brain strength and love or joy or happiness, that I can bring you into the steps by steps to show how you communicate, how you receive, and how you change the direction. Do we want to become a soul star, or do we become a matter star which has to mature again to become a soul star, which is detached from totality? Let's contemplate. We'll come back to it next teaching. Thank you very much. I hope we have enlightened some souls. Then you find out you don't need no craft, as you are the craft yourself. You are the soul, but you don't see the essence of the truth of your own, created through the creation of your own soul. Thank you very much for today. I think we changed a lot of things, and a lot of understanding needs to be done.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, for all your teaching.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Maybe, Rick, we need to put this.
Thank you, Sir Keshe.
Thank you very much. Maybe we put this teaching after teaching of tomorrow, that the whole human race understand the course as a blueprint of the man for universe.
Okay. Yep. I'll get that right.
Thank you very much indeed. See you next time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Keshe, and thanks to everybody for participating today and listening in. And that'll be the end of the morning session for Wednesday, March 2nd, 2016. And it sounds like okay, that was the end of that morning session, and now we'll hear the part of another the afternoon teaching. I have to get that set up here. Just bear with me for a minute. Okay, that'll do. Okay.
Existence of the plasma. What is plasma in our culture of understanding, that scientists, to show themselves clever, have made terms and things to make it very difficult, that they show to be very clever, but in fact they're the most stupid lot, because you are clever, they twist it that you can't see it, that they look to be clever. Understand, in all levels of when you speak about the plasma, the interaction of the plasma, what is the essence of the plasma? Where does the plasma come from? Look within yourself. You'll find all the answers, because you are the plasma. You radiate heat, we call it aura. You radiate energy, you call it aura. We radiate thoughts, we call it aura. What is interesting, somebody said we have these machines which can, detect different color of aura. Let's bring these machines and put it around our head, forget about the body. And you start thinking in the motion that I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And see if the all color goes purple. Then it shows we can show purple color is hate. Let's sit you in front of the most beautiful food and don't let you touch it. And you go, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. And then in your mind, not in mouth. And then you see what's the color of these new inventions. With the colors, can we color code our emotion? In the teaching yesterday, we showed the lines. This is the fear, this is joy, this is happiness, and we put lines and colors to it. But in fact, it had a lot of meaning. Can we do that? Can we build a machine, which then, by it, we can put all the human beings as pink color on this machine means hate. And we put a machine around the guy, and as he walks, says, oh, look, he's thinking about hating. Oh, it looks that one, he wants to eat something. Or look at that. He's telling me something, but it means something else because the color on the head on the machine has changed. Would we come to the point that we become the machine ourselves to detect our own field? And because we can become close to it, then we can see the field of the others. Because if they interact with us and their field is the same strength as our field, there should be no reaction. If I'm thinking about love and giving, and he's thinking about God, what you love and giving, I should see no aura around it, because his aura and my aura is the same. Two equal field forces in the interacting, they don't create anything residual. Is this the way we're going to communicate in space? Understanding the emotion in the field attraction or interactions. Is this the language of the space? Is this what we are doing? We are heading in that direction. Or do we actually see these, but they prefer not to, because this way we have to accept when the guy says, I love you, it really means, it doesn't give me an excuse to say no for me to go and love somebody else. When you say, I'm hungry, I feel the pain that my body needs energy, I say, oh, you don't really just eaten. But I look at him, oh, I said, the color is there, so it must be because that color on the head, it means hunger. It's the emotion in the head which creates that color. Does the emotion contains the truth, or does emotion create the truth? Do we need to have emotion to find the intention? And from the intention, we see the emotion. The truth is very, very near to each other. So, in the space, when we come across another entity, we judge it by our own strength, not theirs. Because if our intention is peaceful, loving, and their intention is the same, there should be no magic show. It means we are at peace. If my intention is eating him, and his intention is to eat me, then there is no field either. Then I know I'm food and he knows he's my food. Because we both think about the same. Because we radiate the same energy. Magnetic and gravitationally. What it takes, I give. What I take, what I give, he takes. Now you understand the teaching of the universal language. Nobody in the universe, in so many ways, considers cup of water. This is a wood. And then we make dictionaries of it. Hard wood, soft wood. In a space, there is no material except plasma. It's the intention and the emotion. In a way, we judge the environment according to our own judgment. And if it does not interact, we know it. We know it's no good for us because we see the interaction. We become our, what you call aura, or what I call the emotion of the magnetic field of your head, becomes your tool of communication. I love you. And you know, love and hate come together, give this color. Oh, the guy hates me. Or he says, I don't want to interact with you. Or my intention so is the judge of me. In many teachings, especially in the terms, if you listen to it, I always said, it's us who will become the judge of us. Because our intentions shall be read before we act. Because in the universe, the language is very simple. I can see yours and don't need the language. If your intention is to eat me, and my intention is to eat you, there is no color. Good morning. Who's going to eat who? Or do we say, I have some surplus, this part is good, but you want my liver? I have some of your kidney, because then I can compensate for the others. We become a Turkish market. People go and sell the kidneys to have food to eat, to feed their children. You have to start understanding why we start this teaching so fast, this way. Because now we open your eyes in the truth about the creation. You don't say, darling, I love you, and you're thinking about the mistress or the boyfriend. If we start teaching the interaction of the gans of the plasma of the body of the man, we both know exactly what it means. So, as we talk about emotion, we show the line of the emotion, we show this is the gravitational magnetic field of the joy, happiness, sadness, fear, whatever. The only tool we have to measure is ourselves in respect to the others. We have to start color coding our own strength. This way we become the judge of our own doing. Because you never want to think about, can I eat it? Because if that guy thinks the same and has got a heavier mass, you're gone. Or, if my intention is to give and the intention of the guy is to take, he takes what he needs and you have enough to give at the moment he needs it. Do we become like where the lamb comes to us, we eat and become part of it, so it's better for us to be inside another, that we'll find survival for us to be expansion of totality. Speaking and teaching does not exist in the universe. A few backward races have schools because they haven't learned the laws of the real universal structure. We don't see armies and we don't see people going 250,000 soldiers halfway around the world to kill as many as they can. They call themselves superpower. Nothing has changed. No human race has not progressed in 3,000 years. Just to dress a monkey does not make the monkey a man. Iranians pulled 250,000 soldiers 2,500 years ago to fight the Greeks. On hand and feet and donkeys and God knows what. The most superpower has a problem to pull 100,000 from the other side of the world to fight. With the latest machinery, tank and troops, and they still don't have managed to resolve it. Still, 250,000 soldiers, 3,500 years, the whole target is killing. To be superior. to be I am. The whole thing is stops. Now we put a stop. To stop has to stop because it's become a bigger mayhem. When you touch the essence of your own creation, which is children, it means the society is written, totally rotten inside. You got to understand this is not accidental or coincidental that we ended up in Belgium, because this is the land which has been pushed to the edge where all the rot sits, and there was no control. Now they have fled everywhere. We are there to see and be the cause of the end. Then we go to Italy, it's the same. Look at who was financing all the wars. 95% of the wars to the present time today is financed in Italy. I call Italy the most Catholic, un-Catholic nation we ever seen. Now look, the same now in Middle East. It hasn't changed, man is still killing, but with a bigger name, with the bigger tools, the more up. Anybody rises as long as you give them the money to have a good life. And we call it a spring uprising. Anybody rises as long as we pay them and we call them a revolution. But let us go into the level of understanding the emotion of the man inside. And then we see a man comes here, I've come to free you. So we see the color of you. Freedom is what I think is my strength, my emotion, and yours doesn't match, because when you speak to freedom, your color is pink and yellow when it interacts with mine. I read your emotion. I read the essence of your thinking. In other words, I see the color of your soul. And then you find out nobody walks down the street and says, oh, I'm a Greenpeace. I'm thinking about peace. Oh, I just received 2,000 euro in my bank account to go and do this, but part-time and full-time I manufacture arms for British Army. When the whole purpose of all these teachings is to elevate your understanding, to know yourself, that by knowing yourself you can see without speaking. You can absorb energy without taking another life. But as we say in Farsi, گر خواهی نشوی رسوا همرنگ جماعت شو. Means if you don't want to stand out, be one of the crowd. So we are one of the crowd, but we are the ones who slowly move the crowd to the way we want. To the land of peace, to understanding, but educating the soul of the man. That the man understands. You don't need a word. When your wife tells you, I love you, you make sure there are no mistresses, because when you say I love you and she can see the color of the rainbow, boy, you're in a problem. Thou shalt not steal. Stealing is very, very, as we educate now, the Egyptians brought us numbers. The others brought us different sciences. Now we bring the science of the motion and the truth. Soon it will be like alphabet, the way you say 2 and 2 make 4. In a few years' time, oh, that color on your head means you want to eat me. That color on this, you're adulterous. That color there, oh, you love me, I love you too. The new cycle of teaching is to elevate the man to understand the next step of education beyond understanding of the physicality. And then if you reach that, then you become man of the universe. Because then in the universe you can't eat no one, because they feel what you feel. That's the language of the space. And as you are entering it, you better know it is not, but oh, look at something, oh, very beautiful. I wonder if I can eat that one. oh boy, you'll be sucked out in no time, because they have a bigger mass, because they educated themselves. They don't eat you. They give you so much that you elevate to them and say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Thank you very much for feeding me. They won't destroy you. They elevate you. This is the process of the universal order. This is what I just told you a few minutes ago. I pray to the soul of the red circle that he elevates. We see them, they will go, they will be taken, because this is the rule of the physicality. Any other question? Hello? Did I speak to myself?
I thought I heard someone coming in.
Yeah, that was my son.
Oh,
Yeah, he was saying Papa because nobody was talking, so she thought the class is finished. This is a good thing when you teach at home, huh?
yeah.
You never know. I become like a CNN broadcaster. His camera is only on the face. They sit there with God knows shorts and no clothing. So we can teach what we like.
Mr. Cash,
Yes.
the avalanche continues. Thank you.
No,
You don't like it? I won't mention it again.
No, it's not the avalanche. It's understanding that we could have swam with the waves. We decided to go against it. That's why everything looks like avalanche. If you swim with the waves, you enjoy it because you go the same. If you try to go against it, it becomes and looks like avalanche.
Perfect point. Thank you.
This is what the way we have to change, because it's the habit of man. Everything has to be fought for. In our health section, we don't fight. We give, and then it finds its own way. That's why medicine doesn't work. I've said this many times, because you fight the disease. We don't fight it. We create the environment, and if the disease is happy to stay in, but the rest of us is not one of us, it moves on. When we take this word fight out of the vocabulary of the man, in essence, in his emotion, then the man has reached the point of maturity. Because there is nothing to fight for. You have all the knowledge and you can do what you like.
Then if we don't need to fight, and going back to what we were discussing earlier about using the plasma of our bodies to create what we need, then we can then also put ourselves in the position of being a healing Gans around someone. And we don't even really need that person.
There, if they want to take it, huh?
Yes.
The mouth of the emotion is tighter than the mouth of the man. The man, if you want to feed him and doesn't want to feed, he can force his jaw opened up. We do it with our children. We force the spoon in. And if you shut the mouth and hold it, it gets swollen. You get your medicine down. But with emotion and feels, it's not that way. I don't want you. Doesn't matter how you dance, you still can't get in. So we don't fight. What's the use of forcing? But you know you can't get anywhere. So you create your space to allow it to be taken if it's needed. Wisdom of silence.
Hello, Mr. Cash.
Yes.
It's YC from Hong Kong. It's about the cup of life. I'm not sure if I'm understanding it correctly. My question basically has two parts. The first part is the cup of life has many aspects of ourselves. If someone make a cup of life, let's say myself, I make a cup of life. Does it carry the blueprint or the image, the template of myself, of that person in the cup? And the second part is, by changing the constituents inside the cup, and can we change our physicality, our emotion, and so on and so on?
Yes. If you make a cup of soul, yes. Because when you want to change the physicality, it's not a breast operation or a nose operation. You have to change every single cell within the structure that everyone is happy with the change. So if you go and try to first to get your blue eyes, where the brain says blue eyes does not go with a very, very funny, curly, black, twisted hair with half brown, huh?
So if my IQ is only 100, I can change the brain part of the cup and make it 200.
You make the energy available to the soul that this is my desire. If it fits, the emotion will follow. Because you know, when you have a blue eyes, blonde hair, you have a different emotion. When you have a dark black hair with a dark brown eyes, very hunky voice, you have a different emotion too. So the emotion has to fit into the physicality. It's not just happened for you to be, because man haven't understood the total structure. Every feature on your physicality has a reason for guaranteeing the survival of you longer term. Nothing else. So if you want to change something, your soul knows about the soul of its environment and the condition of its environment. You give to the soul, say, I would like to have a blue eyes. But sorry, with my blue eyes, with this color doesn't go. It's like putting a pink clothes with a very, very nice, beautiful pink top. And can you imagine very, very bright red and blue and green skirts and every other color? You stand like a clown in this time. When you change our physicality, the first thing the body considers is, what am I going to feel within the crowd? Your soul is created first before it does your emotion. And then physicality comes out of the creation of your emotion, that it can handle it. If your physicality was supposed to be built and then your emotion, it would have been a big mess. A lot of us think, oh, it's an egg and the sperm and blah, 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 blah. But in fact, it's a soul, the emotion, and then the structure of the body, that emotion can handle the structure. So make a cup of soul, and we are a long way away from making that.
So everything has to be harmoniously.
Everything,
all the plasmas in our body interacts harmoniously.
You see, the animals do it except man, and it's very strange. Man has never realized that. If you look, let's say the crows, let's say the pigeons, they don't have fancy clothes coming out. Look, I colored my hair this way today. The other feather, have you seen it pink? And the other toe is just nailed a bit purple. Because they totally understand not just their life. We look at them, they run around. But in fact, the whole lot consider the totality. In the human race, when it's too many of us, we kill each other because then there is so much food. You had this theory which coming, they're killing us to control us, becoming too many. If you put all the 7 billion man on 1.5 times the size of Isle of Wight, we all fit in a standing foot to foot. What happens to the rest of all these continents? So there is no shortage of space. But you have to understand, man wears different clothes just to enforce his own meager existence. When the animals see there's a plenty, they all decide to lay eggs. When there is not enough, they all decide collectively, a few of us selectively lay eggs that we can guarantee, but not all of us, because there is no food guaranteeing those. Look at the animal kingdom. They are more mature than we are. Because they don't speak a language. Nobody goes there, today we have a one-child policy. We feel our existence is good, so everybody can have a manager. But when it comes a rough time, boys, slow down. And this is the maturity of the soul of the animals. It's much higher than man. And the man is so ignorant, says that birds are doing that animals. Actually, the animals call humanity animals, and the animals, the man calls animals. But in fact, man was never understood that thing. Even the plants. So, if you want to create a life, give it the right soul that is satisfied within the structure of the other souls. The emotion which it creates will fit the body, and the body will not ever demand anything more than what it can carry. Next question. Second question.
But if I make a cup and I look at my palm, I have all my lines, the emotional line, the brain, all these lines, the fate in my palm. Is it also replicated in the cup?
I don't know. Depends what was your emotion, what the line says.
I see.
This is what I said all the time from the first day the students walked into the lab. Pray for your cups. Give from your soul.
Thank you. I have no more question.
Thank you very much. We're coming to about 4:30 plus. As usually we stop. We're going for 2.5 hours. Thank you very much for today. Try to listen to the teaching of the what I call tomorrow after the teaching, which is the first part, and you have maybe what we discussed today, you understand more than they did understand this morning, because you have a little bit more knowledge, so you're passing them a little bit further. But on the other hand, try to get them to listen to what you've been taught. Maybe then they understand equally what it is. Thank you very much, Mrs. Westinghouse.